Mr. Stubb, good to speak to you. You've been very vocal in your calls for Finland to join NATO. Is now absolutely the time to do it, or is it so sensitive that it's almost better to wait?
The time is not now. Basically, you can't be buying a fire insurance when the fire is on. But what you have to do is, in the short term, maximize your security. That's what our president has done by visiting Washington, D.C. and being obviously in close contact with Sweden. But then you have to be quite determined and create a pathway towards NATO membership. It's impossible to say when that is going to take place, but I do think that the train has left the station and we're moving towards a NATO membership. But right now, we do not want to escalate the crisis or the war up here to the northeastern part of Europe.
But let's talk about public sentiment. We just mentioned that huge 20% percentage point increase in feelings about joining NATO within Finland. So talk us a little bit through the Finnish mindset, if you can. I know it's hard to sum up a whole country, but why there has been, obviously why there's been a sudden shift now, but why there hasn't been such support in the past?
Yeah, sure. If we take the situation at the moment, I think the shift is based on what I would call rational fear. Fear of an aggressive superpower in the form of Russia, fear of an aggressor and a military power. And this sort of sentiment that we should never be alone again, as we were basically in World War II, in the Winter War and War of Continuation, after which we were able to maintain our independence. So it's very much a rational reaction, I think, of the Finnish public, but you have to understand that the reversal is pretty much total. So roughly speaking, it used to be 50% against, 20% for. Now that has changed. And I predict that as the war is prolonged day by day, support for Finnish NATO membership will increase. But I think it's very important for our political leadership. And I think they're doing the exact right thing right now to maximize security in all other ways except taking the final step. We can do that later.
And let's talk about that maximising security then. What about defence spending? How much might that be increased by in Finland? And how is that huge, really long land border with Russia being managed?
Well, rest assured, we Finns took a slightly different turn after the end of the Cold War. Instead of reducing our defence spending, we decided to focus very much on an independent and strong defense. So we've kept our figures, roughly around 2%. We purchased over 60 F-18s in the early 1990s. We just purchased another 64 F-35s. Our military service capability is more NATO compatible than that of many NATO states. So what we decided to do is, okay, we're not going to join NATO, but if things go sour, we will be prepared. So in that sense, yes, you will see yet another increasing military spending here in Finland. But don't worry, we did our homework even in the post-Cold War era.